maintaining public ownership and the rights of the people of Ceredigion and Wales, Lord Elisdan Morgan.
Thank you very much indeed, and deeply grateful to you for that over-flattering welcome. But I'm sure that I might be allowed to congratulate you on doing something that I never managed to achieve. You've added 4,000 votes to the Labour total in the party. Something I never came near to doing. But now, we diolchgar iawn am y gwahoddiad yma i'ch anerchu a hynny dros Bodlondeb. I'm deeply privileged to be invited to speak to you today. As I understand it, many of you, if not most of you, will not be able to understand the language of heaven. And for that reason, I'll speak in English mainly. One's got to be very careful when one talks about the language of heaven. I said that at a public occasion some years ago, and someone said, "On what possible authority did you say that?" I said, "There is not a shred of evidence to the contrary." But now, there are two matters that I would wish to put. One, the positive case for keeping Bodlondeb, and the second, the very strange and dubious way in which the Council have acted in this whole matter. Two sides, two powerful sides to the same coin. I'm also very conscious of one thing. My late wife was deeply dedicated, as many of you will know, to the service of all people. And she, I know, would have bent every sinew to support your gallant and noble campaign. Well, now, first of all, the positive case. The duty to maintain a care home is a mandatory duty upon a local authority. It's not a matter of choice, it's a matter of must. They are obliged by statute and have been for many, many, many decades to do exactly that. So therefore the question that they have to show is why it is that they are able in some way or another to dodge what is a mandatory statutory obligation. The case for the maintenance of a home such as this, I think, is overwhelming. As you well know, in rural areas, the portion of the population that is represented by old people is much higher than it is generally. It's higher in Cardiganshire than in most other parts of rural Wales. I learned that when I sat as the chairman of a working party reporting to the Welsh Assembly some 5 or 6 years ago. And we indeed plotted a curve of development that would make that problem a much more acute one as the years passed by. I can tell you this, we underestimated the situation. The figures that we calculated very carefully were too conservative. The curve is much sharper than anybody ever thought. The idea, therefore, that in some magical sort of way, old people can be accommodated in their own homes is nonsense. We live in an age where there is so much breakdown in the traditional family pattern that it is not possible, and more than that, we live diffused lives that militate against that in any event. Consider these facts. There are 363 people from this county in one of the 11 private homes which have grown up like mushrooms. There are 181, if I remember rightly, in 6 council homes. Do you think those private homes would be there at all if it wasn't for the fact that so many people find it impossible to live in their own homes? That, I think, is the screaming reality of this situation. And it is one that is going to grow more and more acute as the years go by. So that anybody who says old people can be accommodated in their own homes is talking nonsense, and inhuman nonsense at that. Let's turn now to the negative aspect of the case, the attitude of the County Council in the whole matter. The County Council have been involved in this issue for about 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure whether it has anything to do with the fact that about 2 or 3 years ago they had priced Waterhouse. They paid them the munificent sum of £2 million to advise them how to save money in Cardiganshire. You'd have thought that people in Cardiganshire could do that for themselves. But there we are. This sum, which indeed should have been calculated by the very officers that the council has for that very purpose itself. But strangely enough, it's about then that talk about Bodlondeb began. That's when you see Bodlondeb coming into the crosshairs of the weaponry of the county council. Well, they set up a study from the 7th of July, if I remember rightly, to the 20th of September. A not ungenerous period. But in that study, they guaranteed that it would be a wholly objective dissertation. They would look carefully, fairly, judicially, and in a balanced way at everything, and then and only then decide. Is that how it happened? I doubt it. And I tell you why. You know, they hadn't even budgeted a single penny to maintain Bodlondeb. How can they say, therefore, that they were of goodwill and of decent intentions towards Bodlondeb in the circumstances? Secondly, they only managed to discuss with the working party what seemed to many people to be central to the whole issue, and that was the question of the refurbishment costs. They did that 5 working days before the end of that period. Do you think that's an honest way of doing business? Thirdly, and most important of all, the first reason that they give for closing Bodlondeb is the provisions of the registration and inspection of care homes Wales Act 2016. It's true that Act makes it essential for there to be almost palatial standards maintained in old people's homes. And I don't say that sneeringly at all, they mean well. The council, of course, immediately grasped upon that and said, this is our defence. But you know one central thing, the Act does not apply. It doesn't apply to any home that has been established before 2016. I regard myself as a simple lawyer, and I've lived in the law most of my life. And I believe that one should look fairly and squarely at the facts. Why is it that they didn't reveal that central truth? Did they forget about it? Were they so negligent that they never considered it? Or was there some other sinister reason for maintaining it in the darkness? There have been talk about the regulation that will be made under that Act of 2016 to apply retrospectively to the past. If that were done, every home in Cardiganshire would close. And there is a huge opposition to that. There is no prospect of that happening at all. So when the council tell you that they cling like a lemming, like a leech to the 2016 Act, bear in mind it has no operational value whatsoever in the circumstances. Furthermore, the estimates that they have given from time to time have varied enormously as to what it will cost to put Bodlondeb back on its feet. First estimate was 3.4 million. Within months, they were talking of 5.4 million. Months later, it had gone to 10 million. And eventually it was 13 million. Like Topsy, it grew and grew and grew. Now, some very distinguished public figure about 100 years ago said about untruths, they are lies, damned lies, and statistics. And that is exactly what you have here. Almost anything. Somebody said once that it's very much like a drunken man leaning upon a lamppost. Not for illumination, but for support. And that is exactly the way that they do it. They say that they have a county plan affecting all 6 homes in the county. I've never seen a shred of evidence about that at all. Now, it doesn't give me any pleasure to say harsh things about the county council for a number of reasons. Before I became a barrister, I was a solicitor, and I served my articles with that splendid gentleman, the late Eric Carson, who was clerk of county council. My brother was clerk of Critical for years, as you know, my late brother died in Morgan. And indeed, there have been very, very many happy connections. So that I would far prefer not to be making this speech today, were it not for the fact that something utterly disgraceful and unjust is happening. Ond rydw i'n credu bod hi'n hwyr yn y dydd, a dyw ddim yn rhy hwyr i symud yr anghyfiawnder difrifol yma sydd yn cymeryd lle. Mae yna hen larwyddau'r trech gwlad nag arglwydd, a trech yn y diwedd dwi'n credu fydd ysbryd filwreitis a dewr pobl gogledd Ceredigion, a fydd yn trechu holl nerthod y fall yn enw cyngor sir. It is late in the day, but never too late to right a disgraceful injustice. Diolch yn fawr i chi. Thank you very much.
Closing Bodlondeb solves this week's problem. What about next week, when someone in the hospital needs residential care but there's no Bodlondeb for them to go to? Even more serious bed blocking, that's what, and the whole system grinds to gridlock. What's the answer? Well, the Director of Social Services says it's extra care housing. Extra care housing is great as part of a range of options, but it's not 24-hour and it's not a direct replacement for residential care.
I think the council is giving up way too easy here and not enough options are being explored. I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks this, and I'm certainly not the only one who is angry.